Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters and guests. In writing the title of my speech, I knew exactly what I was saying. I was standing in the back of the audience. I know that there's some confusion in the execution of the title to my speech, so I might as well tell it to you right out and I'll spell it for you. The greatest vacations are in tents, T-E-N-T-S. This is about camping. Not intense vacations, but I think there is a double meaning there. I think some of the camping, I'm glad I heard that come back to me, because camping can be an intense vacation. My points that I wanted to make are that camping in tents can be fun. It gives family memories. It also builds character. And in our family, I think it has given my children the opportunity to take on some expeditions that they would not have otherwise tried if we had not taken them camping. Camping is fun. What do I mean by that? And I'm talking specifically about camping in tents. And I'm not talking about camping in trailers or buses or the pop-up campers. We're talking about canvas tents, nylon tents, going into the forest, sleeping bags on the ground, perhaps a mat if you're lucky. That's the type of camping that we're talking about. My family grew up with that, with my parents. It's not for everybody. I have 5 siblings or 6 kids in my family. It's only myself and my sister that still do camping in tents. But we find is very fun. My wife and I have been married for 33 years. We have 2 children. They're now 25 and 23. We've done all sorts of vacations. We've gone with the hotels and the motels and the bed and breakfast and the lodges, and we've taken nice vacations all over the country, and we've been fortunate to go overseas once. But camping in tents is where we really have our most fun. A couple examples. When my children were in middle school, we took 2 trips out to the West Coast. The first one was a fly and drive vacation. The second one was a drive and camp vacation. The first one was fairly typical. We flew out to California, drove through, visited San Francisco, the big city, drove across the state through the valley, the agricultural valley, drove down through a couple of the national parks, saw the sequoias, the huge redwood trees, did the sightseeing, went back to the lodge, had a real nice meal, get up the next day, do it again. That was a fun vacation. I would not ever say I did not want to do that vacation. But the second trip, a couple years later, we drove out from Michigan, through Minnesota, South Dakota, got to the Badlands. From there we went to Wyoming and Yellowstone Park, and then to the Grand Tetons. The example that I like to point to as saying that camping is a lot of fun and gives us memories. On the second day of driving or camping, we had to drive in Yellowstone. We basically drove 8 hours in the rain. We get to the camping site. Needless to say, it's wet. This is where you have fun. This is where the fun begins. Is opening up, dragging a dry tent, dry sleeping bags, dry clothing, dragging that out of the car and erecting the tent. At dusk, putting up a tent. Your tent is going to get wet. You know you're going to be wet. You have to cook your dinner in the rain. You know you're going to be eating wet food, but it's fun. Why? Nuts. The next morning, the sun rises at dawn. It's beating on the tent. We're in a sauna. You now have to open up the tent and get outside. And what do you see? A beautiful lake, classic mountain view, the flat as glass, flat as beer, the mountains rising up above you. What a beautiful sight to see. A couple middle-aged parents and some middle school children. That's the kind of memory that we have going camping. Which leads us to the next level, the next point of discussion. Camping in tents builds character in your children. In order to go camping, you have to plan, you have to work as a team, you have to persevere, and you have to have exercise some leadership ability. And all of those things happen on a camping trip. If we wanted to sleep at night that evening in that campsite. We had to work together to put up the tent. If we wanted to eat, we had to cook the meal. There wasn't no driving to the local restaurant. We were hours away from any other facilities for eating or sleeping. So that's what I'm talking about when I have intense camping, or camping intense makes the best vacation. My children, as a result of those experiences, when my daughter went on the senior trip, she did not want to go to Cozumel or a cruise or anything like that. She wanted to plan a backpacking trip through the Smoky Mountains. And she and my son did that. There were 7 of us all together. We started up here at the northern edge of the Great Smoky Mountains, and they figured out the plan to get us down to the southern edge of the mountains. And we had a ball. Great experiences. After that, my son, very proud to say that my son went to the penultimate Boy Scout wilderness experience. He went 10 days. He went to Philmont, which is camping out in
New Mexico.
Out in New Mexico. Great area. My daughter, when she was able to, both of my children were able to study overseas for a semester. She went to Chile. She took her sleeping bag with her, and she went on a weekend trip to Punta Arenas. Puerto Arenas is the name of the town. It's the bottom of South America. She went camping for a weekend in the Patagonia region, which is one of the wildest wilderness areas in the world. At the end of that trip, both of my children, very, very happy to be able to brag about this to some extent, they both went camping on a tour, a hiking expedition to see Machu Picchu in Peru. So none of this would have happened if they had not had some camping intense as we raised our children. It was fun, some great memories. It built some character, and it gave them the confidence, I think, to take on these different expeditions. So camping intense is the greatest vacation of all. Madam President.